I never imagined that a single wedding night could rewrite the entire map of my life. If you had asked me a week earlier who I was, I would have answered simply, a quiet guy, mid-20s, stuck between expectations and uncertainty. I worked a regular office job, lived in a small rented apartment, and kept most of my thoughts to myself. I was the kind of person people overlooked easily, and honestly, I had learned how to overlook myself too. The wedding invitation arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. Cream-colored envelope. Gold lettering. My cousin Ayan's name written in elegant script. Ayan was more than a cousin, he was the closest thing I had to a brother. We grew up in the same neighborhood, shared the same school, and spent countless nights talking about dreams that felt too big for our small lives. He was getting married. I smiled when I opened the envelope, genuinely happy for him. Ayan was confident, charming, and fearless in ways I never was. If anyone deserved a fairy tale wedding, it was him. What I didn't know then was that this wedding would become my turning point. A quiet secret. There was something I had never told anyone. Not Ayan. Not my parents. Not even my closest friends. Since childhood, I had felt a strange pull toward femininity. Not in a way I could easily explain. I didn't want to be someone else, but I was fascinated by softness, by flowing fabrics, by the idea of seeing myself in a different light. When I was 12, I had once tried on my sister's scarf in front of the mirror while everyone was asleep. The way it framed my face made my heart race. I didn't know why, only that it felt right. Shame followed quickly. I stuffed the scarf back, promised myself never to think about it again. But thoughts don't disappear just because you command them to. Over the years, curiosity turned into a quiet secret. I never acted on it again, but the idea lingered in the back of my mind like an unfinished sentence. I built my life around being normal. Or at least appearing normal. Arriving at the wedding. The wedding was held at a large farmhouse on the outskirts of the city. Fairy lights hung from trees, white drapes fluttered in the evening breeze, and the air smelled of flowers and freshly cooked food. Everyone looked beautiful. Everyone looked confident. Everyone looked like they belonged. I, on the other hand, felt like a guest in my own skin. Ayan spotted me near the entrance and immediately pulled me into a hug. "Bro. You made it," he said, grinning. "I was worried you'd get lost on the way like always." "Very funny," I replied, smiling back. He looked radiant, dressed in an ivory sherwani, confidence glowing on his face. "I need a favor," he said casually, lowering his voice. "Already?" I laughed. "At least let me eat first." He shook his head. "Later. For now, just enjoy. We'll talk after dinner." Something about his tone made my stomach tighten. The problem. It was close to midnight when Ayan finally pulled me aside. We stood near the back of the farmhouse, away from the noise of music and laughter. "There's a situation," he said. That sentence alone was enough to make my heart drop. "What kind of situation?" He rubbed the back of his neck. "My wife's younger cousin, Zara, she was supposed to be one of the bridesmaids." "Okay." "She had a panic attack earlier tonight. Family pressure, crowd, everything just got to her. She left with her parents." I nodded, not understanding where this was going. "The problem is, we have a ritual after the wedding. A small private ceremony with close friends and bridesmaids. The elders are very strict about numbers. If one bridesmaid is missing, it becomes a whole drama." I frowned. "So, find someone else?" He looked at me. Not toward me. Directly at me. My stomach flipped. "No," I said immediately. "Whatever you're thinking, no. Just hear me out." "Ayan, no." He grabbed my shoulders. "You're the same height as Zara. Similar build. And, you've got softer features than most guys. With makeup and clothes, you could pass." My brain stopped working. "You want me to dress as a bridesmaid? Just for the ritual? 30 minutes, max." "No. Absolutely not. Please, he said. If this ritual gets cancelled, the elders will talk about it for years. It'll become a stain on the marriage. I don't want my wife to start her married life with that kind of negativity. I opened my mouth to argue. Then I saw something I had never seen before in Ayan's eyes. Fear. Not playful. Not dramatic. Real fear. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't serious, he said quietly. My heart pounded. Every part of me screamed to run. Another part whispered. You've wondered about this your whole life. I hated that whisper. The offer. I swear, Ayan continued, no one will know. Only me, my wife, and the makeup artist. We'll keep you away from cameras. You wear a veil. People will assume you're just another cousin. I shook my head slowly. This is insane. Maybe. But you're the only person I trust with this. Silence stretched between us. I thought about my quiet apartment. My boring routine. My unfinished sentence of a life. Then I thought about the 12-year-old boy in front of the mirror with a scarf. My throat felt tight. 30 minutes, I said finally. That's it. Ayan's face lit up with relief. You're a lifesaver. I didn't feel like one. I felt like I had just stepped onto a path I couldn't see the end of. Transformation begins. The makeup room was small and warm, filled with the smell of perfume and hairspray. Ayan's wife, Sarah, smiled gently at me. Thank you for doing this, she said. I know it's a huge favor. I couldn't even look her in the eyes. The makeup artist, a woman in her 30s with calm hands and sharp focus, studied my face. Relax, she said. I promise, you'll look beautiful. That word hit me harder than I expected. Beautiful. I sat in the chair. The first brush touched my skin. I closed my eyes. Part of me wanted to cry. Part of me wanted to run. Part of me wanted to stay. And I had no idea which part would win. The first thing I noticed was how gentle the makeup artist's hands were. Not rushed. Not careless. Every brushstroke felt deliberate, almost respectful, as if she were uncovering something instead of hiding it. I kept my eyes closed. I was afraid that if I opened them too soon, I would panic. You have good skin, she said casually. Most men don't take care of it, but yours is naturally smooth. I didn't know how to respond. Sarah stood behind me, watching with a soft smile. You look nervous, she said. I am nervous, I replied quietly. She placed a hand on my shoulder. It's okay. Tonight is strange for you. But you're doing something very kind. Kind. Not humiliating. Not ridiculous. Kind. The words helped more than I expected. Becoming someone else. Foundation. Concealer. A light contour. Each layer felt like another step away from the version of myself I had known all my life. The makeup artist applied eyeliner with steady precision. Don't move, she said. I froze. My heart was beating so loudly I was sure everyone could hear it. When she finished, she moved to my lips. A soft pink shade. Nothing too bold. Natural look, she explained. Bridesmaid style. Bridesmaid. The word echoed in my head. This wasn't a costume party. This wasn't a joke. This was real. Very real. She curled my lashes. Then brushed on mascara. Then lightly shaped my eyebrows. Finally, she stepped back. Okay, she said. Open your eyes. I hesitated. Then slowly opened them. I didn't recognize the person in the mirror. The face was still mine. Same eyes. Same nose. Same lips. But softer. Gentler. Prettier. Not in a dramatic, overdone way. In a subtle, believable way. My throat tightened. That's me? I whispered. Sarah smiled. Yes. And you look lovely. Lovely. Another word I had never imagined anyone using for me. The dress. The dress hung on a nearby rack. Blush pink. Flowing fabric. Long, elegant, with delicate embroidery along the neckline. Just looking at it made my hands tremble. The makeup artist gestured toward it. Time to change. I looked at Ion, who had stepped into the room quietly. He gave me an encouraging nod. You don't have to look, I muttered. He raised his hands. I'll wait outside. Sarah helped me, turning away as I slipped out of my shirt. Then my pants. Standing there in my undershirt and boxers felt suddenly wrong. Exposed. Not because of skin, but because of vulnerability. She held the dress open. Step in. I did. The fabric slid up my legs. Cool. Smooth. Different from anything I had ever worn. She zipped it up slowly. It fit. Perfectly. Not too tight. Not too loose. Like it had been made for me. I stared at myself again. A guy in a dress. That's what I expected to see. That's not what I saw. I saw a bridesmaid. A girl. My heart skipped. I didn't know whether to feel terrified or amazed. Maybe both. The wig. The makeup artist placed a wig cap over my hair. Then carefully positioned the wig. Long. Dark brown. Soft waves cascading past my shoulders. She adjusted it, brushed it, and pinned it into place. There, she said. Perfect. Perfect. Another impossible word. I stood up slowly. My legs felt weak. I took a small step. The dress swayed gently. I took another. It felt natural. Not comfortable yet. But not impossible. I didn't hate it. That realization scared me more than anything. Ion's reaction. Ion stepped back into the room. He stopped. Just stared. Wow, he said. Not laughing. Not teasing. Just, wow. You look really convincing. I folded my arms, suddenly self-conscious. Don't make it weird. I'm serious, he said. If I didn't know, I'd never guess. That should have comforted me. Instead, it made my chest feel tight. Because somewhere deep down, a small voice whispered. You like that. I pushed the thought away. The rules. Ion became serious. Okay. Few important things. Great. There are rules now. Yes. First, you keep the veil on as much as possible. He handed me a matching pink veil. Second, don't speak unless absolutely necessary. Your voice could give you away. I nodded. Third, stay close to Sarah. She'll guide you. Sarah squeezed my hand gently. You'll be fine. I hoped she was right. The walk. The music outside grew softer. It was time. My heart felt like it was trying to escape my chest. We stood at the entrance to the small ceremonial area. Other bridesmaids lined up. All women. All beautiful. All unaware. And then there was me. A guy pretending to be one of them. I adjusted the veil over my face. The world became slightly blurred. Maybe that was a blessing. Sarah whispered, ready? No. But I nodded. The music began. We started walking. Step. 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 Every movement felt amplified. I was hyper-aware of everything. The way the dress brushed against my legs. The gentle clink of bangles Sarah had insisted I wear. The eyes of people watching. Judging. Or so I imagined. No one pointed. No one gasped. No one laughed. They just watched. Like this was normal. Like I was normal. Something strange happened. The fear didn't disappear. But it changed. It softened. It mixed with something else. Something warm. Something I had never felt before. A quiet sense of rightness. And that terrified me even more. Standing there. We took our places. I stood between two bridesmaids. Hands clasped in front of me. Head slightly bowed. I copied their posture. The ritual began. Chants. Blessings. Soft music. I didn't understand most of the words. But I felt their weight. I was part of this. Not as myself. Not as who everyone thought I was. But as someone else. Someone hidden. Someone real. A thought crossed my mind. What if this isn't just a favor? I swallowed hard. 30 minutes. That's all. That's what I kept telling myself. But deep down, I knew something had already shifted. Something that could never go back to exactly how it was. If someone had told me that standing silently in a bridesmaid's dress would feel more intense than any major event in my life, I would have laughed. Yet there I was. Heart racing. Hands lightly trembling. Trying to remember how to breathe. The ritual continued, and time began to behave strangely. Every second felt stretched. Every small sound felt loud. The soft rustle of fabric. The faint clink of jewelry. The distant laughter from another part of the farmhouse. I kept my eyes lowered, just like the other bridesmaids. But curiosity kept pulling at me. I wanted to look. At the guests. At the decorations. At myself in this impossible situation. I lifted my gaze slightly. No one was staring. No one looked suspicious. To everyone there, I was just another girl in a pink dress. That realization sent a shiver through me. A stranger's compliment. During a brief pause in the ritual, an elderly aunt leaned toward me. "You look very graceful, Beta," she whispered kindly. Graceful. The word landed softly. Dangerously softly. I didn't trust my voice. So I just nodded. She smiled and turned back to the ceremony. That was it. Such a small moment. But it hit me harder than anything else so far. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't in on the secret. She genuinely believed I was a woman. And she had seen grace in me. I had spent my whole life feeling awkward in my own body. Clumsy. Out of place. Yet here, disguised as someone else, I was being called graceful. My chest felt tight. Awareness of my body. I became painfully aware of how I was standing. How my shoulders were relaxed instead of hunched. How my hands were delicate instead of clenched. How my movements were slower, softer. I wasn't forcing it. It was just happening. That scared me. Because it felt natural. Too natural. I had always thought femininity was something external. Something you put on. Like clothes. But this felt internal. Like a part of me I had never allowed to breathe. Almost caught. Halfway through the ritual, one of the bridesmaids beside me leaned closer. "I love your dress," she whispered. My brain froze. Say nothing. Don't speak. That was the rule. I smiled behind the veil. Nodded slightly. She smiled back, satisfied. Then she added, "Where did you get it?" Panic surged. If I stayed silent too long, it would look rude. If I spoke, my voice could betray me. Sarah must have noticed my tension. She gently touched my arm and answered for me. Her aunt got it stitched from a boutique in Lahore. The bridesmaid nodded. "Oh, nice choice. Crisis averted." But my heart kept pounding long after. One small mistake. That's all it would take. The mirror inside my head. As the ritual continued, my thoughts drifted inward. I kept seeing two versions of myself. The one I had always been. Quiet guy. Average. Invisible. And the one I was right now. Soft. Elegant. Seen. Not because I was pretending. But because something about this version invited attention. Not loud attention. Not flashy. Gentle attention. I didn't know which one was real. Maybe both. Maybe neither. Maybe I was more complicated than I had ever allowed myself to be. That thought was overwhelming. The touch. At one point, Sarah reached for my hand. Just a supportive squeeze. Nothing more. But it sent a strange warmth through me. I wasn't alone in this moment. Someone knew my secret. Someone was protecting me. For the first time in my life, I wasn't carrying something like this completely by myself. My eyes burned slightly. I blinked it away. Not now. Not here. The end of the ritual. Finally, the chanting softened. The elders gave their blessings. The ritual was complete. Ayan and Sarah bowed respectfully. The bridesmaids followed. It was over. 30 minutes. Just like promised. Except it didn't feel like just 30 minutes. It felt like I had lived an entire alternate life in that small slice of time. We began to file out. My legs felt weak. Not from the heels, I was wearing flat sandals, thankfully. Weak from emotion. From adrenaline. From everything I didn't have words for. As soon as we were out of sight, Ayan appeared. "You did it," he whispered, grinning. I didn't know how to respond. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel relieved. I felt changed. The unexpected delay. "Go back to the room and change," Ayan said. "I'll come with you." We started walking toward the makeup room. Then Sarah's phone rang. She glanced at the screen. Her smile faded slightly. "Zara just messaged," she said. "She's not well. Her parents want to keep her overnight at the hospital for observation." "Oh," Ayan said. Sarah looked at me. "There's another small tradition after midnight. Nothing big. Just photos with close friends and bridesmaids." My stomach dropped. I already knew what she was going to say. "We still need the same number," she continued gently. Ayan looked guilty. "I'm sorry," he said. "I know we said 30 minutes. But could you stay a little longer?" A little longer. Those words felt heavier than they should have. Part of me screamed no. Another part didn't want to take the dress off. That realization shocked me. I stared at the floor. If I agreed, I wasn't just doing a favor anymore. I was choosing this. Choosing to stay in this identity a little longer. My heart pounded. Okay, I said quietly. Just for photos. That's what I told myself. Just a little longer. But deep down, I sensed that I was standing at the edge of something much bigger. Something that didn't care about my excuses. If part 2 had been about shock. And part 3 had been about confusion. Then part 4 was about something far more dangerous. Acceptance. Not from others. From myself. Back in the room. We returned to the makeup room. I expected to feel desperate to change. To rip the dress off. To escape. Instead, I felt strangely calm. The makeup artist was gone. Only Sarah, Ayan, and I remained. Sarah adjusted my veil. "You're doing amazingly," she said softly. I nodded. I didn't trust my voice. Ayan leaned against the wall. "I owe you big time." "It's fine," I said. My voice came out quieter than usual. Not higher. Not fake. Just softer. That scared me. Ayan raised an eyebrow but didn't comment. Seeing myself again. I drifted toward the mirror. Really looked this time. Not a quick glance. Not a panicked check. A real look. The girl in the reflection didn't feel like a stranger anymore. She felt familiar. Like someone I had known once. A long time ago. And forgotten. My hand lifted slowly. Fingers brushed the fabric of the dress near my collarbone. I half expected to feel disgust. Instead, I felt comfort. Warmth. A strange sense of belonging. My heart whispered something I wasn't ready to hear. So I ignored it. Photos begin. We were led to a small decorated corner of the farmhouse. Fairy lights behind us. White flowers arranged in arches. A photographer waited. Bridesmaids with the couple first, he said. I took my place beside Sarah. Close enough that our shoulders touched. She smiled brightly for the camera. I copied her. Click. 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 Every flash felt like it was capturing more than an image. It felt like it was capturing a version of me I had never allowed to exist. The photographer tilted his head. You're very photogenic, he said to me. I blinked. Sarah squeezed my hand lightly. I smiled instead. The photographer nodded, satisfied. No suspicion. No doubt. Just acceptance. The name. One of Sarah's friends leaned toward me. What's your name? She asked casually. My brain stalled. I couldn't say my real name. That would instantly expose me. Sarah answered smoothly. Zara. The name hung in the air. Zara. Not just a placeholder. Not just a lie. It felt right. The friend smiled. Nice to meet you, Zara. Zara. For the first time in my life, I had a female name. And hearing it didn't feel wrong. It felt like something inside me clicked into place. Like a puzzle piece sliding home. I didn't know what to do with that feeling. So I buried it. Small moments, big impact. After the photos, people mingled. Some guests approached to compliment the bride. Others chatted with bridesmaids. I stayed mostly quiet. Smiling. Nodding. Letting Sarah handle most conversations. But occasionally, someone would include me. You look so elegant. Your makeup is perfect. Lovely dress. Each compliment was a tiny spark. One spark alone meant nothing. But together? They were starting a fire. A dangerous, beautiful fire. The bathroom break. At one point, Sarah whispered, "Do you need to use the bathroom?" I nodded. She took me to a nearby washroom reserved for women. My heart pounded. I had never been inside a women's restroom before. It smelled different. Floral. Cleaner. Quieter. She stood outside the stall. Call me if you need help, she said. I locked the door. Stared at myself in the small mirror above the sink inside the stall. Zara stared back. Not the guy pretending to be Zara. Just Zara. A thought slipped into my mind, uninvited. What if this isn't pretending? My eyes filled with tears. Not sad tears. Not exactly happy tears either. More like release. Like something I had been holding in for years was finally allowed to breathe. I wiped my face quickly. No one could know. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I knew. And that knowledge changed everything. Ayan notices. When we returned, Ayan studied me. You okay? He asked quietly. I nodded. You sure? Yes. It wasn't a lie. I wasn't okay, in the sense of normal. But I was okay, in a deeper way. Like I had stopped fighting myself. At least for the moment. The thought I can't escape. As the night continued, one thought kept looping in my mind. What happens when this ends? When I take off the dress. Remove the makeup. Become him again. Would I be able to forget Zara? Or had I just met someone I could never unmeet? The idea of going back to my old life suddenly felt heavy. Not impossible. But incomplete. Like choosing black and white after seeing color. I didn't have answers. Only feelings. And they were growing louder. A quiet promise. I made a silent promise to myself. Whatever this meant. Whatever I turned out to be. I would not pretend this night never happened. I wouldn't shove it into the dark like I had done with the scarf years ago. Zara existed. Even if only inside me. And she deserved to be acknowledged. That realization scared me. But it also felt like the first honest thing I had ever thought about myself. The wedding celebration began to thin out. Guests started saying their goodbyes. Cars lined up outside the farmhouse. Laughter faded into softer conversations. But inside me, everything felt louder than ever. I kept thinking. Soon, this will end. Soon, I would change back. Soon, Zara would disappear. The thought made my chest ache. I didn't want to admit that. Not even to myself. Ayan's unexpected suggestion. Ayan pulled Sarah aside. They whispered for a moment. Then both looked at me. That look made my stomach tighten. Ayan approached. Most close family and friends are staying overnight here, he said. There are guest rooms. Okay, I said cautiously. There's also a small farewell breakfast ceremony early morning. Bridesmaids usually attend. I already knew what he was hinting at. I don't want to pressure you, he added quickly. If you want to change and leave after tonight, that's completely fine. You've already done more than enough. Sarah stepped closer. But, if you're comfortable, she said gently, it would help us a lot if Zara could still be present in the morning. Zara. They weren't even calling me anymore. And I didn't correct them. I should have. But I didn't want to. My heart felt like it was splitting into two directions. One path led back to my old life. Safe. Predictable. Empty. The other path led somewhere unknown. Terrifying. But alive. I can stay, I heard myself say. The words surprised even me. Ayan looked relieved. Sarah smiled warmly. Thank you. No one realized how big that decision was for me. Not just staying overnight. But choosing, again, to be Zara. The spare room. They gave me a small guest room near Sarah's room. Simple bed. Clean sheets. Soft lighting. Sarah handed me a small bag. Some basic toiletries and a nightgown. One of my cousins left extra clothes. I looked inside. A light pastel nightgown. Soft fabric. Thin straps. My face burned. I don't have to. You don't have to wear it, she said quickly. But it might be more comfortable than sleeping in the dress. Comfortable. Another dangerous word. After she left, I sat on the edge of the bed. Just stared at the bag. I had already crossed so many lines tonight. What was one more? I stood up. Slowly unzipped the bridesmaid dress. The fabric slid down. I folded it carefully and placed it on the chair. Then I picked up the nightgown. It was so light. So delicate. I slipped it over my head. The fabric brushed against my skin. I looked in the mirror. Same makeup. Same wig. But now, in a nightgown. It felt intimate. Private. Not a performance. Not for anyone else. Just for me. My heart pounded. Not with fear this time. With something softer. Something warm. Something that felt like coming home. Alone with my thoughts. I lay on the bed. Stared at the ceiling. Zara wasn't just a role anymore. She was lying in that bed. Breathing. Thinking. Feeling. I pressed a hand lightly against my chest. Felt my heartbeat. I exist, I whispered. Not as him. Not as what everyone expected. As me. As whoever I truly was. Tears slipped down my temples into my hair. Silent. Not dramatic. Just real. I didn't know if I was a man who liked dressing as a woman. Or something else entirely. I didn't have labels. I didn't have answers. But I had honesty. For the first time in my life. Morning light. I must have fallen asleep at some point. Soft knocking woke me. Zara. Sarah's voice. Zara. Yes, I answered automatically. The door opened slightly. Breakfast ceremony in 15 minutes. I'll be ready, I said. The words came naturally. That scared me. And comforted me. At the same time. Getting ready again. I freshened up. Adjusted my wig. Touched up lipstick. I didn't rush. I didn't feel forced. I moved slowly. Carefully. Like this mattered. Because it did. I looked in the mirror one more time. Good morning, Zara, I whispered. She looked back at me. Soft eyes. Calm face. Not perfect. Not flawless. But real. Breakfast ceremony. The morning ceremony was quieter. More intimate. Close family. Close friends. Simple blessings. Soft smiles. No loud music. No chaos. I sat with the other bridesmaids. No one questioned my presence. No one doubted me. I blended in. Not because I was hiding. But because I belonged. That realization felt like a gentle earthquake inside me. Everything I thought I knew about myself was shifting. And strangely, I wasn't fighting it. The choice approaches. As breakfast ended, reality crept back in. Soon, guests would leave. Soon, I would have to decide. Take off the makeup. Change back. Go home. Return to the life I had before. Or. A small, dangerous thought formed. What if this doesn't have to be the end? I didn't know what that meant yet. I only knew one thing. One wedding night hadn't just changed my evening. It had changed my relationship with myself. Forever. The sun was higher now. Golden light spilled through the farmhouse windows, warming the tiled floors and softening the edges of everything it touched. It felt symbolic. Like a new day in more ways than one. Guests were preparing to leave. Suitcases were being loaded into cars. Hugs were exchanged. Promises to visit were made. Life was moving forward. And I was standing completely still inside my own head. The moment of truth. I sat alone in my guest room. The bridesmaid dress was folded neatly on the chair. The nightgown still hugged my body. The wig rested on the bed. The makeup was still on my face. All the pieces of Zara were around me. Waiting. So was the other version of me. Waiting. I stared at my reflection. I don't know who you are, I whispered. The reflection didn't answer. But it didn't disappear either. I realized something important. I had been waiting my whole life for someone else to tell me who I was. Parents. Friends. Society. Strangers. But no one else could answer this. Only me. And I didn't need a perfect label right now. I didn't need to decide everything today. I just needed to stop lying to myself. Talking to Ayan. Ayan knocked softly. Can I come in? Yes. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him. He looked at me. Really looked. Not at Zara. Not at a disguise. At me. You okay? He asked. I took a deep breath. I need to tell you something. He nodded. I swallowed. I don't think last night was just a favor for me. His eyebrows knitted together slightly. I think. I've felt like this for a long time. I just never allowed myself to face it. Silence. Not awkward. Not tense. Just quiet. I don't know what that makes me, I continued. I don't know if I'm a guy who likes dressing as a woman. Or if I'm something else. Or if I'll ever have a clear answer. I looked up at him, terrified. But I know I felt right. Being Zara. I felt like myself in a way I never have before. Ayan exhaled slowly. Then he did something I didn't expect. He smiled. Not a teasing smile. Not an uncomfortable one. A real, gentle smile. Okay, he said. Just one word. Okay. No lecture. No judgment. No demand for explanations. Just acceptance. Tears filled my eyes instantly. That's it? I asked weakly. He shrugged. You're my brother. Or my sister. Or whatever you figure out you are. That doesn't change that you're family. I laughed through tears. Thank you. He stepped forward and hugged me. I hugged him back. Tightly. Like I was holding on to an anchor. Sarah's understanding. Sarah joined us later. Ayan told her I wanted to talk. I expected awkwardness. Maybe discomfort. Instead, she sat beside me on the bed. You don't have to explain anything you're not ready to, she said. I told her anyway. About the scarf. About the curiosity. About last night. About how being Zara felt. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she took my hand. I don't know exactly what your journey will look like, she said. But I do know this, you deserve to explore it safely. And gently. And at your own pace. I nodded. More tears. You're welcome here, she added. As yourself. Whoever that turns out to be. Those words wrapped around me like a blanket. Changing. Slowly. Eventually, I knew I had to change. Not because I was ashamed. Not because anyone forced me. But because the wedding was ending. Life outside this bubble was waiting. I stood in front of the mirror. Took a deep breath. Slowly removed the wig. Set it on the bed. Removed the makeup with gentle strokes. Each wipe felt like saying, goodbye, but not a permanent, goodbye, more like, see you later. When I put on my regular clothes, they felt familiar. But different. Not wrong. Just incomplete. Like they were missing a layer. Not of fabric. Of truth. I looked in the mirror again. Same face. Same body. But not the same person. Because now, I knew something important. Zara wasn't a costume. Zara was a part of me. And I didn't have to kill that part to survive. Leaving the farmhouse. As I stepped outside, the sun warmed my face. I took a deep breath. The world looked the same. Cars. Trees. People. Noise. But I wasn't the same. I didn't suddenly have everything figured out. I didn't suddenly become fearless. I didn't suddenly transform into a new person overnight. But I had something more valuable than certainty. I had honesty. With myself. A new beginning. Before I left, Sarah hugged me. Take care of yourself, she said. Ayan punched my shoulder lightly. Call me if you ever need anything. About any of this. I will. As I walked toward my car, I felt something unfamiliar. Not dread. Not emptiness. Hope. Quiet. Fragile. But real. One wedding night had changed my life forever. Not because I became someone else. But because I finally met myself. And for the first time. I didn't look away. The end.